Hello folks, what is Twitter attrition? As I approach another minor milestone, I categorize it into three areas. This is losing people. It's hard enough gaining people. You might have to add 300 and try to get 50 back, something like that, and I'm going to give a few numbers today. Uh, First category, and I'll say these are roughly 1/3 each, and that's a very rough number, but it makes me deal with it more easily. The first is people get their magic numbers, I call it. What's a magic number? They wanted to get to 1,000 followers, 10,000, 100,000, a million. They start dropping everybody. That's the first category. The second category of attrition is they just don't care for your tweets very much. This you can do something about. The other two categories you can't do too much about. The third is suspended accounts, also deleted accounts. Now there's a subcategory. They just want their friends and people you know. I don't want to put it with number two because you can't do much about it. Whereas if you improve your tweets, make predictions, talk about things people like, you might be able to improve the second category. To make it a third each, you might have to throw this subgroup back into the number two if you catch my drift. So what are the numbers for me like? They were down to 49 a day, losing people. This was for a week recently. I had been up to as much as 70 to 80 a day. If you lose 70 people a day, you're going to have to add those back in just to stay even. And if you're adding at a rate of 5 or 6 to 1, 70 times 5 or 6, it puts you around 400. That's a lot of work. When you start adding 4 to 500, you start getting into trouble no matter what level you're at. There are other limits lower down, like the 2,000 limit of adding people, but that makes it pretty difficult. So the only thing I can do is try to improve my tweets, make people interested, and you can't please everybody. I probably have 8 or 10 categories I'm in of things I like to talk about, which is kind of unusual, and I'm kind of an expert on those, and that's also unusual. Like music is one, another is business, the economy, another one is politics, another one is science. Most people can't do that many, 8 or 10, unless they're just interested in vague things like actors, music. Sometimes they can get up to that number. Another problem is if I start having, well, I don't think you can do reasonably well 2 or 3 tweets a day of interest in, say, my 8 or 10 categories. Because if I have 30 tweets a day, and plus I like to have a shout out or 2 a day, maybe a couple of other notifications. A lot of people, I won't say most people, but a lot of people are saying that's too many tweets. I think if I do 8 or 10 tweets total a day, that's fine. So I may not even cover one of those areas of interest. I try to have people from all over the world. I've cultivated that. I've done that on purpose. At one time I was trying to get people from Russia. Another time I was getting people from Japan. You go through different stages. I've had a lot of people from Saudi Arabia, a lot of people from Brazil, a lot of people from Indonesia. I can use a few words in all of those local languages, but it's difficult. And the languages that are harder for me, like Japanese and Arabic, I am pretty limited on my vocabulary. Portuguese, Spanish, French, the Romance languages, even Germanic languages, German, I can do better. But that may not be for everybody. I just cultivated it intentionally, and I wanted to have a more diverse group of people. That will go into perhaps the second category. If someone's following you, they only want to hear English, or they only want to hear Spanish. it's not going to work for me. I'm going to throw in some Spanish, some French, some German, some other things. I like to say hello, good day to someone. Sometimes if I pick them up from Brazil, which is Portuguese, they speak down there, which is a little different than the dialect they might speak in Europe and Portugal. So I haven't talked about gaining followers. I have made predictions in the past. My first year I did a lot of predictions. I did pretty well with my predictions. I generally do well with my predictions. You're never going to do 100%. If you're famous, you're just going to get a lot of followers. You have to be a famous actor to get in millions. Lesser actors or actresses, they might have a couple 100,000 people. So that's another way. A simple, easy answer to the question, but not easily done, is to add a lot of people if you want to get a lot of followers. Okay, this has gone on for a few minutes. I'm going to stop this, and I've talked about this attrition before, and I may talk about it again. Good luck.